What if I told you there was a footballer so elegant, so untouchable, that he could play in the snow and leave no footprints behind? 99% of players rely on power and speed, but this man? He turned football into pure art. Stick around because in the next 7 minutes, you're about to discover the hidden genius of Dennis Bergkamp, the magician who defied the laws of the game. First, we'll uncover the secret training methods that turned a 12-year-old into Johan Cruyff's handpicked successor. Then, we'll reveal how a single tactical tweak transformed him from an academy dropout into a Ballon d'Or contender. And finally, you'll witness the moment that nearly destroyed his career, before he rose from the ashes to become an invincible legend. But first, let's talk about how a young Bergkamp became football's most effortless genius. Dennis Bergkamp wasn't just born talented, he was engineered for greatness. With a gymnast mother and an amateur footballer father, his childhood was a masterclass in precision. By 9, he dominated athletics, excelling in sprinting, long jump, and even shot put. But one obsession changed everything: the way a football stuck to his foot, like magic. At 12, his mesmerizing first touch caught the eye of Johan Cruyff, who saw something special, something he could mold into the perfect footballer. What followed was a brutal footballing education that would either break him or turn him into Cruyff's heir. But before he could become a legend, he had to endure a training regime so punishing, it was almost inhumane. Johan Cruyff believed that talent wasn't enough, it had to be refined through hardship. So he threw a 15-year-old Bergkamp into impossible situations, making him play against multiple markers, forcing him to master every position, and challenging him to carry an entire team, alone. The result? Bergkamp learned football in 360 degrees. He could think 5 moves ahead, predict every defender's movement, and control the ball with supernatural precision. By 17, Cruyff had one final test, a high-stakes European clash against Malmo. The only problem? Bergkamp had a biology exam on the same day. So what did Cruyff do? He sent a club representative to escort Bergkamp from school to the airport, flew him to the match, and threw him into the starting lineup. Critics mocked the move, until they saw what happened next. Bergkamp may have been young, but he was already toying with defenders. In his first European start, he left his marker so confused that by the end of the game, 25,000 fans rose to applaud him. And when reporters asked why he had spent so much time in the reserves, Cruyff gave a legendary reply. "It's not that Bergkamp trains with the reserves, we use the reserves to train Bergkamp." By 21, he wasn't just Ajax's best player, he was the top scorer in the league. He was dominating with a style that was 10 years ahead of his time, playing as a false 9 before the role even existed. But just as his star was rising, one decision threatened to destroy everything. Bergkamp was the most wanted man in Europe. Real Madrid, Barcelona, and AC Milan were all ready to sign him. But instead, he made the worst decision of his career, choosing Inter Milan. The move was a disaster. The club played defensive, his teammates refused to pass to him, and the Italian media turned on him. They mocked his performances so relentlessly that they even renamed their Dud of the Week award to the Bergkamp of the Week. By the end of his second season, he had managed just 2 league goals. His confidence was shattered. His career was in freefall. And then came the moment that would change everything. Despite his struggles, Arsenal saw something in Bergkamp that others didn't. So they broke their transfer record to sign him, making him the most expensive player in the club's history. Critics laughed. Even the president of Inter Milan sneered, they'd be lucky if he scores 10 goals. But Bergkamp wasn't there to prove a point, he was there to make history. After a rough start, he finally silenced his doubters with a sensational volley in his 7th game. Then he followed it up with a screamer from outside the box. By the end of the season, Arsenal fans had a new nickname for him, the Messiah. And that was just the beginning. With Arsene Wenger's arrival, Bergkamp found his perfect manager. Under Wenger's system, he orchestrated Arsenal's attack with surgical precision, forming an unstoppable partnership with Thierry Henry. Together, they rewrote history. By 2004, Arsenal achieved the impossible, winning the Premier League without losing a single match. The Invincibles became legendary, and at the heart of it all was Bergkamp's genius. By 2006, Bergkamp was ready to say goodbye. Arsenal was moving to a new stadium, and it was only fitting that Highbury, the ground he had graced for a decade, was demolished the same year he retired. His final act? A Champions League final appearance, as Arsenal came within inches of European glory. When the curtain finally fell, he left behind a legacy that few could match. A player who turned football into an art form, who played with such elegance that his name became synonymous with perfection. And in the words of Johan Cruyff himself, if you want to know what football truly is, watch Dennis Bergkamp. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Bergkamp's incredible career, hit subscribe for more legendary football stories. And tell us, what was your favorite Bergkamp moment? Drop it in the comments below. Because legends like Bergkamp, they don't come around often.